This VPN made my Starlink internet exponentially better. Should you get a VPN? And why? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. We're coming to the end of some fireside, guys. That smokiness of the lap song, so good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. It is kind of a Starlink day, but it is more of a general tech day. This video is going to be about VPNs as well as port forwarding and static IPs. It's a little bit deeper of a dive, but as I always do in all my videos, I'm not only going to tell you the how to do something, but more importantly, the why. So when you're done watching this video, you should have enough knowledge to be able to use this information for your ISP. If you don't have Starlink, maybe you have Usenet, maybe you have an ISP that does CG-NAT like Starlink does, and I'll get into that in just a second. But my goal here is to boil things down and make it super, super simple. The biggest problem that I hear from people is that Starlink customers have a problem with not being able to get a dedicated IP address. In other words, a static IP address for them, number one, and also it lacks port forwarding. And these are two things that a lot of folks need for a lot of different reasons. Now, by the time you're done watching this video, there's a bunch of things that you should get out of this. And I made a list because I think it's very important so you know what the hell you're watching here. Because this is not going to be a short video. It's going to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to timestamp things. So if there's something that you don't need to know because you already know it, don't go to it. You can fast forward. It's okay. I'm okay with it. Also, if you enjoyed this content, even in the least, as I always ask, please throw it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends, family, other colleagues that have Starlink, that are looking into Starlink or need a VPN or want more information about VPNs and what they do and should they get them. Share it, all right? We're trying to grow the channel. Also, after you throw this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and click this little bell icon over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. If you just want to say thank you for all of the work that I put into this, there's a little thank you button down there. You can click it. It's up to you. But even better is just become a member of the channel. That would be awesome. Would love to have you. So after about 4 or 5 days of testing a lot of this stuff out, the same thing that I did with the routers, we did here with VPNs and other programs, I'm boiling it all down once again for you. So let's get started. This video is going to help you, hopefully, in addressing one of the main issues that I hear all the time from you guys is how do I access my security cameras remotely if I have Starlink? As of right now, you can't, right? We all know it. But after this video is over, you're going to know how to do it. Also, you'll have access to P2P file transfer securely, like in a Tor network, for example. Hosting maybe your own game server. Let's say you have a daughter or son that loves Minecraft and they want to host their own Minecraft server. Or maybe you love Minecraft and you want to host your own Minecraft server. Well, you can't do it currently with Starlink. After today, you will be able to. And maybe you have a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, maybe an Xbox, and you want to play certain video games that don't allow you to play because you're on a Starlink network. They need that direct connection. After today, you will also be able to do that. Maybe you have like 1,000 or 2,000 videos in your library and you have all of these videos on a PLEX server. Well, you could share it with your friends and family as long as they live with you and they're on the same network. Well, how about if they're in a different town or maybe in a different state, maybe in a different country? After today, you will be able to share them with them. Maybe you want to access geo-restricted information, maybe geo-restricted sporting events or movies or TV. You can do that. Finally, you will have military-grade surfing privacy. What does that mean? That means no one's going to know what the hell you're doing on the internet. And that's great, especially today where privacy is a big issue. There's very little privacy. We're being tracked all the time. Well, with a VPN, that tracking pretty much dies for the most part. So what exactly is a VPN? That's a lot of people are going to be like, well, what is he talking about? What is this VPN thing anyways? A VPN is a virtual private network, and it encrypts all of your data before it gets to the ISP. This means that the ISP cannot decipher the content that you're sending into the network, and it cannot decipher the content that you're getting back. Very important. Nor can it figure out the traffic that is coming to you. Where is it coming from and where is it going to? Once again, this is very powerful to stay anonymous. Right? So the way your data goes out and comes back in is it starts out from your computer. Let's say you put out a request. It goes from your computer to the Starlink router, from the Starlink router to the modem up, and then over to your POP or to Starlink proper, to the ISP. From the ISP, it goes to the VPN server, and from the server out into the network, into the internet, not the intranet, the internet. So you have that extra wall of protection, which is that VPN server. And that server can be anywhere on the planet. That is the beauty of it. Now, there is a ton of benefits that I was just talking about when having a VPN. But the two things that are most important to us as Starlink users is that we need to have that static IP or a dedicated IP, and we need port forwarding. That is mission critical. So what exactly is this port forwarding thing anyway? Some people don't even know what a port is. Well, port forwarding basically allows access to a computer or application from outside of the local or private network. That is what we're doing here. We're creating, let's call it a tunnel, from the outside to the inside over a specific port. That's it, in short. Now, you have a public IP and you have a private IP. Your public IP is the IP that your ISP provides you. And for me, since we're going through a Georgia POP or point of presence, my IP is out of Georgia. 98.97.1.201, I believe is what it was last week. It changes all the time. Now, that is my public IP. Now, a local or private IP is the IP address that my computer has or my phone has. That address is given to that specific device by the router. And a lot of the routers start out 192.168.1. something. So for example, this computer's local or private IP address is 192.168.1.50. All right, we got that clear. Very simple, all right, boiling it down a little bit. So now the question is, why do some ISPs like Starlink don't provide a dedicated IP address and they don't provide port forwarding? The short answer is Starlink and the rest of them are too damn cheap. And people are like, what the hell is this guy talking about? They're cheap. Well, Starlink and many other ISPs use what is called CG-NAT. That stands for Carrier Grade Network Address Translation. Let me tell you a short story because this is very important, once again, for understanding. Way back in the 80s, they came up with what was called IPv4. And IPv4 was a means of creating a whole bunch of IP addresses. How many is a whole bunch? Well, 4.2 billion IP addresses. Well, back then, now it's about 40 years ago or so, they thought 4.2 billion was going to be enough IP addresses. Well, due to exponential growth of the internet, by the 90s, they said, well, we're going to exhaust IPv4 pretty quickly. We need to do something else. Before the end of the 90s, they came up with IPv6. This was a major change. It was a lot longer, the numbers. Instead of 3-digit by 3-digit by 3-digit by 3-digit, it's now 4-digit, and the digits are now 8 long instead of only 4 long. Anyways, by so doing, instead of having 4.2 billion IP addresses to use, now with IPv6, there is a total of 340 trillion. 340 trillion IP addresses. So obviously it would behoove all of the ISPs and everyone to move to IPv6. The reason they don't is it's expensive, right? It costs money to move from an old standard to a new. And even though this has been around for a couple of decades, they still haven't moved all over. So what they did is they invented something to be a stopgap, let's call it, in between the move. And they called that CG-NAT. So what does this allow IPs to do? It allows them to use one IP address and provide it to 100 of their customers, maybe 1,000 of their customers. And if a lot of you guys are going to be like, well, how in the hell does an ISP give one address to all of these people, to 1,000 people, one address to 1,000 people? How is this even possible? I'm glad you asked. So let's use an apartment building as an analogy. I love visuals. I am a visual learner, so I think this will help give you this understanding, right? So we have this apartment building. Now, the apartment building itself has a physical address of 100 East Main Street. Well, each family in this apartment building has a specific location, right? They have a floor and they have a unit. So let's say it is floor 5 and unit 12. So everyone at that building at 100 East Main Street have the exact same physical address. So let's say that is that 98.97.1.201 that I said from the beginning. That is the number that was given by the ISP. Now, we have a postman. Let's call this postman the internet. And the postman only looks at the physical address only and takes the package and delivers it to that physical address, not to the floor and not to the unit number, because this apartment building has a mailroom. So this mailroom we can think of as Starlink, or maybe even your router, boiling it down a little bit more. When your router receives mail into that mail room, it takes the package and then sorts them from floor and unit. Then it puts a specific IP address or a local IP address on that information or on that package. So the package that's coming in, the mail room or my router or Starlink, says it needs to go to 192.168.1.50. So it does this so that it can deliver the package to the right family. Now, 98.97.1.201 would be, once again, the equivalent to 100 East Main Street, whereas 192.168.1.50 would be the equivalent to floor 5, unit 12. So this way, my router or Starlink knows exactly where to send the data or send the package. Hopefully that breaks it down a little bit. Now, as a Starlink customer or a customer of an ISP that uses CG-NAT, we need a means of getting a static IP address and the ability to do port forwarding. Now, you do not need to use a VPN to get a static IP address or do port forwarding. There is services out there, but they all cost money. And what I found is if you're going to pay anyways monthly for a service, you might as well get extra functionality. So find a VPN that does all of it, that gives you the privacy, but also gives you a static IP address and does port forwarding. That's what I was looking for, and that is what I found. Now, there are a lot of VPNs out there. There's like Surfshark and NordVPN and ExpressVPN and Vanish IP VPN and VPN this and VPN that. I went through a lot of them, and I'm not going to poo-poo on any of them, because the one that I ended up choosing was called PureVPN, just because it did everything that I needed to do, and it was a good value, a good cost, let's say, for what you were getting. Now, I'm going to review others, but as of right now, going through a lot of them already, this is the best that I've found. Well, number one, the customer service is really quite good. I had some problems doing the install. The install should have been absolutely flawless and quick, but instead it was a little bit lengthy because there was 2 people working with me and I ended up getting 2 accounts instead of 1. And then one was like kind of confusing the other. It was a mess. But instead of it being a big hassle, these people were on it. Now, you know, I've talked to you guys about this in the past when I was doing a lot of this research on routers. Holy hell. There was some of these companies you couldn't get a hold of at all. You guys know just alone, if you've tried getting a hold of Starlink, for example, I did a whole video on how to just get a hold of these people. When you try to get a hold of them, what do you get? Yeah, for about a week. It's just really difficult. Whereas these people over there at this PureVPN place, I mean, it was literally within 15 minutes I'm getting responses back continuously. And then the next day they wrote again. They're like, are you sure you're okay? Do you need anything else? They were really on top of it. Once again, it should be super simple for you guys to install this. I don't really want to get into it too deep because this video is going to be long as it is. But what does this PureVPN give you anyways? That's the whole thing, right? Well, number one, they have about 3 million users already. So there's a lot of people using it, number one. I like that because you know that you're not like alone. There's a lot of money that's going into this company. So they're not going to be leaving anytime soon. Number two, PureVPN just upgraded to the latest and greatest servers. So now they're able to do, I think it's 20 gigabit per second connections. So that will definitely be able to handle anything that Starlink can throw at it. That's for sure. Also, any type of fiber connection. It doesn't matter if it's business class, enterprise class, 20 gigabits is a ton. It will also be able to handle, obviously, the next generation 5G and 6G, ultra-fast, low-latency traffic. So this is good. I'm glad they went down this road, let's say, to upgrading all of their servers. This is very important to me. Also, they give you 10 devices. So when you get this one VPN through them, you could connect 10 of your devices to it. So that's really great because you're getting like 10 for the price of one. That's nice. Also, this PureVPN people do absolutely zero logging. And that is very important for me because that means that they are not going to monitor or write down exactly where you go, what you do, what you downloaded, what you didn't download. None of this stuff is ever tracked or written anywhere. That is, once again, very, very important if you're trying to be anonymous. They also have 6,500 different VPNs worldwide. So if I wanted to be a person that is located in China, I could. If I want to be located in Great Britain or in Italy or Germany or wherever, I could just by using this service. That, once again, is very important to stay anonymous, number one, but also, again, as I said before, giving you the ability to watch TV from that country. Look at restricted material that's coming out of that country. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. Having a VPN gives you a lot of functionality. And the most important thing that we want out of a VPN or any service is the ability to, one, have a dedicated or static IP address, and two, be able to do port forwarding, and this company does it. But these are add-ons, so you will have to pay up for having a dedicated IP address and port forwarding. But the cost is only like about $2 or $3, something like that extra. It's not a lot. And these people do it. So this is what is very important. Now, this VPN will work on Mac, on Windows, on Android, on iPad, on iPhone, on Linux, on Chrome, everywhere. I use it on Chrome. Why? Because instead of having to install something, you just use it in Chrome as an add-on, as an extension. And then when you don't want it anymore, you just delete the extension. You don't have to download anything. I love that. I think that that is awesome. And that is how I use this PureVPN, is through an extension, as well as the software that I downloaded onto my iPhone, so I can use it on either device. So getting back to the beginning, this whole camera thing, I got so many questions about how do I watch my feed from my house? How do I monitor the cameras in my home? Because Starlink doesn't offer this service, right? We don't have a static IP. We don't have that port forwarding. Well, now we do through PureVPN. Super, super simple. If you have, for example, a Google Nest camera, there is 2 ports that you need to open, and it is easy to do. You go into the settings, they give you 3 different options. Option number 1, open all ports. Never do this. Do not open all ports. That leaves you wide open. If someone knows that IP address, they can come straight in through that tunnel or all those tunnels that you have open right into your network. Don't do that. Never leave all open. It comes default that way so that people don't need to know what they're doing, but it's a security hazard. Don't do it. The next option is to close all ports. We don't want to do that. The last option is to open specific ports. Now you can see that they have port 80, port 8088. That is a port that's specific to HTML or to your web server to get to a web page. We don't need that. What we need to do, for example, with Google Nest requires port 443 and 1935 to be open. So that's all we have to do is write into this line 443, 1935, and now that specific IP address that's dedicated to us, if someone was to use that and come in and out of that, they can access port 443, which is a secure port or HTTPS, and 1935. And that is the only two ports that need to be open on that static IP address so that you can watch your Google Nest. Now, if let's say you want to use this same static IP address for your kid's Minecraft server, well, Minecraft only requires port 25565. So if we typed in 443, 1935, 25565, now all of a sudden we now have the ability to watch our Google Nest camera and have a Minecraft server for our kids so that their friends can play together on the same server. So there's a ton of other functionality. Some programs out there, like for example, Epic Games, their Epic Games launcher, as well as like Fortnite, needs a whole bunch of different ports open, and you can look them up. I have like a whole list. Maybe I'll stick them in the comments or I'll stick them in the description. But it's very easy to look these things up and then simply add them into this area so that now you have punched holes or tunnels into your network. So the internet can get through to your intranet, but specifically to where you want them to go. And that is it. And remember, all data still, even though it's coming in and out of that port, is encrypted with that 256-bit encryption, that military grade encryption anyways. So I'm currently using this PureVPN. I'm going to keep using it for the next month or two, and I will test other ones out. But I'm telling you, out of all the ones I've tested so far, this is by far the best. And that's why you haven't seen a video from me for the last about 4 or 5 days, because I've been working on this day in and day out, testing them and deleting them and testing them and deleting them. So I hope this has helped you. In the description, as well as in the pinned comment, I will put a link to this PureVPN, people. That link is my link, so if you use it, I'll get 50 cents. I don't know, whatever they give. So please use it if you want to use this specific VPN. I would encourage you to test it out. They do have a trial, so when you go to the VPN with my link, there will be a trial. You can use it, I don't know, I think it's like 30 days, I don't know. Give it a shot. Try it. It is absolutely stellar to not only be able to use the devices that you want to through Starlink, but also have the ability to remain anonymous. And what is also very neat about this, and I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to be diving too deep, but you can also flag certain sites so that your data does not go through the VPN at all. So you can shut it off for specific locations. I hope this has been helpful. If it has been even remotely helpful, please once again give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, they are 100% free just for you stopping by. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books, free just for you being here. Go download them. Finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. Also, if you want any more Starlink content, I have about 60 or 70 videos all about helpful how-tos, tips, tricks, commentary, all kinds of Starlink goodness. Go check out that playlist when you're done watching this video. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.